and we've been doing it full-time ever since. Now we run a six-figure business with running our real estate, flipping houses, doing the whole thing, and we love helping others learn how to improve their businesses as well. Okay, I'm going to have to remember how this works. Yes, there we go. So, just so you get to know a little bit more about me, we love working with our clients. We love flipping houses. I think did you get a packet? Okay, good, just making sure. So today we're talking about systems in business. So who feels that systems the whole concept can feel a little vague every now and then, right? It's kind of a buzzword, kind of really popular right now. We know it's important, but I wanted to kind of lift up the veil on systems and see how it can actually be implemented into your business specifically so that you can have a greater business with more profits and more free time to do the things that you actually love. So my goal for you today is to leave this training with a more comprehensive understanding on systems and how they apply to your business and how you can actually start implementing them today. Lizzie, in her last class, had some really good info that kind of tied into this, so hopefully you'll get a good double dip there. So really quick, so I can feel out the room, does this sound like you? Raise your hand. You know what systems are, but you don't even know where to start. There's just so much information out there that it feels kind of crazy, right? Okay. How about this? Your business is so systemized it can run by yourself. You can go to Italy on a 2-week vacation and come back and just pick up where you left off.
That's why we're here.
Okay. So let's just really quick, I want to define systems, a really good definition for systems. A system is just a repeatable process that you can follow to produce the same results multiple times. Okay? A system isn't necessarily a CRM. You don't go to the store and buy systems. It's something that you have to create and implement for your business specifically. Sorry, I'm like really erratic with this thingy, so we're going to be going back and forth with the slides. So it's any action or sequence of actions that you do more than once. Anything that you do more than once, any workflow that applies to multiple transactions or multiple operations in your business can and need to be systemized. Okay, so from a business perspective, that means that all the tasks that we do each day throughout the week need to have some sort of defined system and process. All right, you probably already have systems without realizing it. And here's the issue. When you think of systems and you feel that it's vague, that nobody has a clear-cut answer for what a system actually is for your business, all of our businesses are truly unique. And that's kind of the beauty of being in real estate, right? We have the power to run our business as independent contractors however we want it to look, right? We can work as many hours in as many different CRMs or doing any kind of prospecting we want or any type of market research we want to do. It kind of complicates things because there's no just clear-cut path to here's your system to your business. It kind of falls on your shoulders to dissect your business and figure out where your workflows are and then to define systems going forward, okay? That's what we're going to learn today. So there's just no one way to do things. And in addition to that, there are so many different things that we do as real estate agents. You've heard the term many hats, right? So we are marketing specialists, we're branding specialists, we are client consultation specialists, we do listings, we do buyers, we do renters, wherever your business comes from and however you handle that business inside your own operations and workflows. That's all things that need to be organized into their own specific frameworks. And you have to define how and when the actions should be taken, and also what constitutes as those actions being properly carried out, right? This includes everything. Marketing and branding, transaction work, bookkeeping. We love all the admin work, all the paperwork. All of that stuff has to get done, and it can all be broken down and systemized in this way. So the basis to the system is just that. All these different areas need to be broken down and documented into a series of steps for each sequence. And then they can be automated. So not all systems are automated, but all systems that can be automated should be automated. And that's where the confusion kind of comes into, right? A lot of times when we think of systems, we think of software. That's not necessarily what we're talking about, but where we can implement the software, we should. And you shouldn't shy away from this, because one kind of objection that we hear a lot is, no, it's real estate. It's a networking, it's a relationship business, it's face-to-face. I need the face-to-faces. I can't automate my business because my business relies on me having that personal relationship aspect. Well, a really important part of automation and systemizing your business is setting reminders and task reminders and things of that nature to make sure you don't forget to do those very important face-to-faces and interpersonal networking and things of that nature. Does that kind of make sense? This is a good word. Don't be afraid of the automation, because after all, you'll never remember what you forget. So why you need systems? So, do you ever feel like this? With your business, there's so much going on. You are so overwhelmed. You know there's all of these different things that you have to be taking care of. It's not fine. If you have a business kind of like this, and I've been here, for sure. I think we've all been here where, we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. You're not taking that 2-week vacation in Italy if your business looks like this. And raise your hands. Everybody just give me an idea of why you got into real estate. Can someone give me a few examples?
I let control my own hours and my work time. And
so you want that flexibility?
Yeah.
So how about income? You want more income? You want flexibility? You want freedom? You don't want to have a boss? You want to work your own hours? You want to travel when you want to travel? Yeah. That's not happening if you're not systemizing your business. Because the moment you step away, if you can step away, flames erupt. Issues erupt in your transactions. All of your transactions suddenly become catastrophic. You forget to prospect. Your prospecting isn't systemized. So you come back from whatever vacation it was, and you've got no business in your pipeline. You have to systemize as many of these different aspects of your business as possible so that you can have the freedom and flexibility to live life on your terms while also being able to afford it. So when you haven't defined how these processes can and should work, the things start slipping, right? And you spend time, every time, trying to reinvent the wheel. So every time you go to open escrow or write an email to your clients because it's time to order the appraisal or whatever it is, if you don't have a system in place and you don't know exactly how and when those things need to be taken, you're just trying to figure it out every single time. You're trying to wing it. And that's not sustainable. It's not healthy. It's definitely not a factor in a profitable business. So without systems, also, you make it very difficult to outsource or delegate or leverage yourself really in any way. Who wants to maybe have a team one day or be able to hire an assistant or be able to grow in any way? You're not growing if you don't have a way to hand off these different systems and processes, right? They say that the best time to hire an assistant is right before you need one. And that's because you are not going to have the time when you're super busy to train an assistant. You can't train an assistant if you don't know what kind of processes they need to be taking over or what workflows they'll be responsible for. So if you can take the time to systemize your business and have your set processes now, it makes leveraging down the road with growth way easier. And it's very difficult to bring in business and revenue predictably. So one of the biggest concerns in real estate, at least for me, is making sure that I have predictable revenue. I want a paycheck every month. I want 5 paychecks every month, right? How do we ensure that that's going to happen even if I go to my friend's wedding in August in Tahoe for a week, right? I want to make sure that my business is still standing by the time I come back. That's why you see a lot of businesses doing this. Here we have, yes, I'm doing my open houses, I'm doing my cold calls, I'm prospecting. Oh, I'm so busy with all my new escrows. Oh, everything closed. Crap, I have no business. I have to start open houses and prospecting and doing all these things. Oh, all my, you wake up one day and you realize that all of your transactions closed and you have nothing in the pipeline. Systemizing levels all of that out. And I'm gonna get a little woo-woo. So then there's the health risk, right? So who feels stressed when they don't know what actions they should be taking or what processes should be in place or where their next clients are gonna come from, right? It's really scary. Or when taxes come around and you realize you forget that taxes are a thing and you haven't been preparing for it all year, right? So stress is a good thing. Stress is, a hormone to help keep us out of danger and to help us deal with problems in the short term. But as soon as you start getting into this long-term stress, that's when chronic stress sets in, and that is going to open up Pandora's box to all kinds of horrible issues. You're at risk for illnesses, right? So you're more susceptible to the flu, to the cold, viruses that go around. It makes it difficult to recover from those, right? So your productivity and effectiveness in business goes down. And then you have all the health costs that go along with that, the medical bills and stuff. And then you also, it's just so dangerous for your health, right? And it kind of goes back to that thing where, is your business running you or are you running your business? If you don't have systems in place, that's when you're on like that endless treadmill of just things that constantly have to get done and you never have a chance to take a break from it. Chronic stress can cause sleeplessness, overeating or undereating. For me, it's overeating, very dangerous. It can cause depression, anxiety, social withdrawal, which we know in real estate, this is really dangerous, right? We need those interpersonal connections. Or you don't even get here, and you're like 87% of all the realtors in our NAR that drop out within the first 5 years because they can't figure it out, or they can't afford to stay in the business because they don't know how to create predictable revenue in their business, right? All of this are things that you can avoid. If we can control it, then we should, right? We should take the opportunity to create long-term health and wealth if we can, right? So one thing that I always like to talk to, who's ever said, I'm so busy? How are you? Oh, I'm so busy. I have so many transactions, my clients list, so many buyers, I'm so busy. You don't want ever to be busy. You want to have a booked calendar, but you don't want to be so busy to where you feel chaotic and disorganized. You want to have a clear-cut, defined, step-by-step task system to your day. So if you invest the time now to get these things implemented, it's a compounding investment. You save time, stress down the road, and the revenues that you're able to earn compound over time as well, because these things only become more efficient as your business grows. I feel like I missed one. I did not. Okay. So step 1 to systems is to identify, right? And we have this in your workbook on page 3, we'll call it. So step 1 is to identify. And this is going to look different for everybody, which is beautiful, because that means you have absolute control on how it needs to happen in your business. So you need to spend some time to look in your business and figure out all of the workflows that occur in your business every week. And if you have no idea where to start, I have a really great exercise that you can do, and it's in this page. It's at the bottom. I've done this before, and I think that all professionals should do this at least every 6 months, every year, especially as your business evolves. But for a week, monitor your actions every 30 minutes, right? So you build a spreadsheet, And it's not that bad, Barry's giving me the grimace. It's not that bad because some appointments take an hour or 2, right? Sometimes you're prospecting for 3 hours, whatever it is. But for a week, if you monitor your actions for every 30 minutes, you'll start to see these patterns, right? You'll start to see where you're spending your time. If you're spending time doing the same thing multiple times a week, those are workflows. Those are things that should be systemized. But otherwise, I have a really good little list that can kind of get you started. So we have lead generation, right? So that's like prospecting. Let's see. We have lead management, so everything from lead follow-up all the way to conversion, right? There's so many different factors in play there. Hi. And we have transaction management, right? All the processes and paperwork that go into place here. Marketing and branding, which is like content creation. Oh, did you get it? You good? Okay. Marketing and branding, very important. Who all is putting out one piece of original content each week to their people? Either reaching out to their database with emails or sending maybe monthly newsletters. Okay. Looks like you guys need systems there. Admin work, miscellaneous or extras. Does everybody have this in their booklets and kind of see? Right? So the key here is to figure out which of these apply to and which you do on a regular basis, and figure out how you want it to look, right? So you can get super, super specific here. So when you go to document these, you want to you have your list, and then you have to break down each and every one and determine how it's going to look every time you do this system, okay? And you want to document it in a place where you can keep it. You want to be so specific on how it looks. So here's a good example. Here's for prospecting, which everybody needs in prospecting. Well, actually, probably multiple systems for prospecting, since we all do different types of prospecting. I have 3 or 4. You determine that you need, let's say, 2 hours every day for prospecting, and we'll call it calls. I know that every day I need 2 hours just for calling. Calling leads, calling database people, calling past clients, whatever it may be. So I'm going to delegate myself 2 hours every single day, every single work day. I guess I'll give weekends a break. But I'm going to spend 2 hours doing this. And you want to literally just itemize it out like this. When will the prospecting take place? We are creatures of habit, right? So we want to do it at the same time, preferably when we're most likely to reach people. Most people will answer the phone at the highest rate between like 5 and 7 p.m. That's not doable for me. I know that I can get it done in the morning, and I know most of my people won't answer, so maybe for me it's like between 9 and 11. But what does that look like for you? What types of prospecting will you do on each day? Maybe I change it up. So maybe on Mondays and Wednesdays I do my database calls, and then every single day I sprinkle in some like lead prospecting, and then maybe on Fridays or Thursdays I call all my hot leads because we're going to schedule showings for the weekend, right? So you want to kind of like create a schedule there. Where will you do this? You really want to do it in the same time every time if you can. What materials and resources will you need? Do I need to make sure the day before that I have my cold calling list and title? You know, what does it look like? What will you need to prepare for it? I like having scripts if I need to give you talking points, especially if I'm calling cold leads. Sometimes it's nice to have a place to start. And then what will you do with the leads prospected? Okay, so do they need to go directly into your CRM if you've finally gotten a hold of them, and then put them into a drip after that? Right, you have to have like a starting point and then what to do next. So you want to get super detailed with every single aspect, every single workflow here that applies to you. Here's another example. So systemizing the buyer's consultation. This is such an easy one to get super controlled on. If you get like a referral of somebody, you get a buyer referral from someone that you trust, you're meeting them for the first time. You guys ever feel nervous meeting a client for the first time? So you want to make the entire situation as predictable as possible. Humans need certainty. We need to feel like we have certainty and control over these situations. So if you can put as many of those factors of the buyer consultation in a system so that you have control over how that consultation is going to look every single time, it kind of takes away those nerves. You show up with confidence, right? You own that appointment and you earn that referral's trust. Your conversion goes higher. So where will the appointment take place? Has anyone read the 7 levels of communication? Mm-hmm. They always do their appointments in the same place, right? And there's all the reasons for that in the book. You should read it. It's awesome. But it's nice to know your environment that you're doing these appointments in. It's nice to kind of be a regular there so you get better treatment if you need it from the servers, whatever it is. I like coffee shops. How much time will you need to prepare for the appointment and when? So I know I need an hour the day before to prepare for this appointment. Maybe not totally an hour, but I like to give myself an hour. I print off any documents I need. I do any research in the area that I know they're looking for, whatever it is. I just make sure that I have time every time. When will you send reminders or an appointment confirmation? So I have the same email that I send to the lead every time before the consultation. This is what to expect. This is when we're meeting. So excited to meet you. Whatever. And then what materials or resources will you need to bring? I bring the same things every single time. I have my transaction process map, little graphic that our graphics guy put together for us so that they can see all the steps in a transaction, because that's always the first question. So what's next? I try to eliminate as many of those questions as I can. I bring comps or I bring listings to show whatever it is, just so that they can get an idea. And then how will you follow up? What's next? How are you going to round out the system and make sure that you have your next steps? For this, for a buyer consultation, you always want to set the next appointment, right? How are you going to do that? What's the appointment going to be? Are you going to go show houses? Are you going to show houses right after? You just have to figure out what that looks like for you. So you want to create these checklists for each workflow. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. I mean, you can do checklists, you can do step-by-step plans. So for listing marketing, we have like a 10-step marketing plan for listings, right? So maybe it's a step-by-step kind of situation. Maybe they're drip email sequences. So you know that for all transaction communication, you need these certain emails. So you just write them up, template them, make sure that you have it on hand. And then when you're doing this, you can write them down and keep them in a pen and paper. So what some people will do is, like, for each transaction or each client they're working with, they'll have like a manila folder, and they'll start on top with that checklist each time. So all the processes that they need for that client, they'll keep it on their desk so it's easily accessible. They don't forget about it, it's right in front of them. Or you can put it in Word documents, save it in folders on Google Drive. You can put them in folders on Google Docs, save it on Google Drive, anywhere where it's easily accessible. And then if you have an assistant or a transaction manager, you might want to make sure they also have access to that too, right? Don't forget due dates, task reminders, all of that stuff. You can get real fancy there with some of the CRMs and task management systems. So you just want to store these in a place where you can find them, right? You have your checklists, you have templates of checklists in a task management system in like Asana or Trello. Does anybody use Asana or Trello?
Are they CRMs?
So you have a CRM, right? And that's your client relationship management tool. So that's like specifically for transactions.
Uh-huh.
You have so many other tasks, right, that don't belong in a CRM. Where do you keep those? You can keep them in Asana. So Asana is a free task management system where you can, oh my gosh, it's like the coolest thing ever. Someday I'll have to like do a tutorial for it because it's, just look it up.
Is that a free app?
Yeah, it's free. It's only desktop, which should be totally fine because when you're going in and out of your CRM, it's nice to be able to play with both of them. Trello is similar, just a different format, but basically what it allows you to do is upload these checklists and then create templates. So every time, let's say you have a checklist of just tasks that you need to remember to do for every transaction, you can load it up for each client, whatever it is, in Asana, and it'll also sync with your calendar to send you reminders. You can get super fancy there. Not totally necessary, but really a good complement to your business, especially since it's free. Or you can keep all of these checklists like in Word format in your Google Drive folders, and then all you have to do is make sure that you're also going into your calendar to set reminders, calendar appointments, things like that. There's a lot going on here, right? Because you're already dealing with the CRM. That's its own fun bag of tricks. And then you have to also keep in touch with all of these other things that are moving in the background. So whatever you can use that will eliminate all of these different tools, the better. For me, that's Asana. So Asana is really, really good too. I think I put that in the back of this too, so you guys can kind of take a look at it. But if not, write it down. But Asana will remove a lot of that issues for you. You want all of your tasks in one house, as many in one house as you can. CRMs can't do it all, so whatever else that you can find that will supplement that. And then load applicable tasks into your CRM. So if you have your email drip campaigns, those go to your CRM, whatever it may be. Make sure that you put as much in your CRM as possible, because that's where you guys should be spending the bulk of your time when it comes to transactions. And then you want to automate or delegate. So like we said, not all systems are automated, but all that can be should. So you can't like automate yourself picking up the phone to call your database, because that's a manual, personal kind of situation, right? But you can automate the reminder that goes into your inbox each week to remind you to call this person and say this thing. So that's kind of what you want to be looking at there. So look at what resources are available to you for automation. Look at all the capabilities of your CRMs. Most of us don't use our CRMs to their fullest potential. And it's kind of because there's so many tools and so many different like techie, complicated things that kind of take a lot of time to set up. But it could be good to set some time in your calendar to actually, or even better yet, get with a rep from your CRM provider to walk you through some other options that you could be using to automate some of these tasks. Task management tools, I already mentioned Asana, Trello, additional software. You can get really hairy here. There's a lot of different things that you can do. There's this, like Boomerang for email for one. You can use Zapier, which is a software tool that creates rules so that if an action occurs in your CRM, it will then go to Asana or something like that to remind you to do something else. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff you can do that I won't get too in-depth in. And if you can't automate it, can you delegate it? So, I mean, if you look back on that list, there's a lot that we can delegate. And the obvious one is like transaction coordinators, right? So if you can hire on a really good transaction coordinator, they take off a lot of that paperwork right off the bat. Maybe you can at some point hire an assistant who takes a lot of your admin work. Maybe you can hire a bookkeeper so you never have to worry about balancing your books every month. Your profit and loss statements, do we do that? It's the worst. But if you can hand it off, I mean, that can help a lot. Graphic designers. But the whole point of systems, guys, is to allow you to earn enough revenue to start doing this, right? The whole point of systemizing your business is to bring enough revenue that you can then extend that revenue and that progress by growing, by hiring team members to do that kind of thing. But before you can get here, you have to put a lot of this stuff in place, because then you need to have something to hand off. And the last one is finding the time. But I'm too busy. I have another job, I have a family, I need to pick up my kids from school. You've got to find the time to invest in your business and get this stuff done, right? So to give you an idea of how much time this might take, writing down all of these, I gave you a pretty comprehensive list in here, but going through your business and writing down all of these workflows that should be systemized, that'll probably take you like an hour, because you'll really want to spend some time figuring that out. And then documenting it all will take another 2 to 4, maybe 5 hours, depending on how robust your business already is. Detailing and documenting all of the steps to those sequences. And then where it becomes hard is like implementing it into the systems, because then like you've done all the work of identifying your workflows, documenting the process and all the steps and all the things that you have to do there. Then you have to like actually load it into the CRM. Then you have to load it into Asana or upload everything into Google Drive, whatever that is. That might take you an extra 5 hours. So plan for like 8 to 15 hours total for this to happen. So you have two options there, right? You can block it out and schedule time, like an appointment, in your calendar to make sure that you get it done. Do we ever miss an important appointment in our calendar? No. So that's one thing that you can do, and you don't let anything come between us. So if you get a call from somebody that wants to have lunch for you and they want to do it at that time that you've scheduled yourself 2 hours to work on this stuff, you say, no, but I can do it this time, right? If you just can't find the time, that comes from your personal time. So you are staying up an hour past your bedtime once the kids go to bed. You're waking up an hour early before you have to take them to school. Whatever it is, that's kind of part of running your own business, right? You have to invest the time, sometimes even from your personal time, to make sure that this stuff happens. So like I said, steps 1 to 2 in your workbook, plan maybe up to 5 hours for that stuff, especially if you've never done this before. And then step 3, for actually implementing it into CRMs, it'll be an extra 5 to 10 hours. And you can space it out. You can get this done all in 1 day and a half, or you can really pace yourself and do it over a month, especially if you want to test out other systems, like maybe a different CRM, maybe a different task management system. Find something that actually works for you that you think you'll stick with, but that all needs to occur here. That's what I just said. Take it from your personal time or schedule it in your calendar. I can send you guys these slides too if you want them. Okay, and then going forward, the most important system is your CEO time. Okay, so once you get these implemented, you need to schedule time every month, schedule an appointment with yourself, with your assistant, with any other team members you might have, to monitor these systems, see how they're working. Tweak where you need to tweak, improve where you can improve. Maybe something is obsolete and you just delete the whole system and you start from scratch. You know, your business changes and evolves so much over time that you really have to spend time every month to double check on these and see if they're actually working in your favor, right? So think about the 80-20 rule. Has anybody heard of the 80-20 rule? It's so great. So one thing that people tend to think is that 80%, like more inputs, right? The more you work, the more you grind, the more you pay attention to something, it'll get you more leverage in the needle in your business, right? So what most people will end up doing is they work way harder than they actually have to. Part of that's because their systems aren't effective. And so you're working 80% of the time to get 20% further in your business, when it should be the opposite. You want to work 20% of the time to see 80% of the return. That's where systems come into play. That's that compound effect. So if you have a system that is taking you way too long to execute, and it's not really bringing you any business, or it's not, this is the same with investments. If you're investing 80% of your marketing dollars into a lead generation tool that's not bringing you anything, that's why you need that CEO time to identify that. Oh, that's it. Yeah, it's the end of class. So I also have, can you close that? So I also have a few additional resources. My favorite books on these, my saying is, anytime your business sucks, read a book. Okay? So some really good ones that touch on these are The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. It's my favorite book in the whole wide world. And then another really good one, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, touches on a lot of this stuff. And he's a smart guy, so definitely read that one. The 4-Hour Work Week is good, 7 Levels of Communication. And then if you didn't write it down, write down Asana, write down Trello, or YouTube and Google anything you don't know. Because sometimes you forget how much free resources are on that. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
What are your 3 favorite CRMs and what do you use?
So my philosophy is the best CRM is the one that you're going to use.
Right.
I have used Lion's Desk. I think that's a great introductory program since it's so inexpensive to get started.
Lion's Desk?
Mm-hmm. I think I use Follow Up Boss right now. I love Follow Up Boss, but I use Follow Up Boss because it marries well with some of the other resources I'm using for my business.
And it's called
Follow Up Boss.
So did that replace Line Desk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a little more robust. It's more pricey. It's going to have more bells and whistles. So if you've never started with the CRM, start small, get the hang of it first, get that into your routine, and then graduate from there. A lot of people at my home group really like Shebang. There are so many other CRMs that you can use, but figure out where your price point is, and then figure out which one you're actually going to use. The only reason I use Follow Up Boss, it's an awesome system, but the only reason I use it is because it marries well with the other tools that I'm using right now.
Okay. All right.
The moment that becomes obsolete, I'm cutting it and moving on to something else. But I will know exactly when that moment is because I do CEO time, and I know as my business changes, I'll have clarity on what that needs to look like.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
Have you looked at iPhone agent?
I've heard of it. I've not looked into it. Is it good?
I just saw a demo of that and a demo of Shebang. I'm just trying to decide.
Yeah.
I've been using Wise Agent for a while.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people have had good luck with Wise Agent. It's so personal. You know, that's if you do this exercise and you're looking at the needs in your business, this needs to happen before you look at a CRM. Because you need to know what you need your CRM to do for you. So do this first, and then start looking at what tools.
Can you name a few lead generation systems that you have or that you would recommend?
Systems, so the best,
Or, yeah.
so you have to also know your numbers to know what your lead gen, like the best lead gen for you is gonna be, right? So are you really good face-to-face? Are you really good on the phone? Are you really good in open houses? I love social media marketing, and I am like all in on Facebook ads and Instagram ads. I love that. I'm all in on my database. So a lot of that is calling, retargeting through socials, staying in front of the people I already know. I hate cold calling. I'll never cold call. I just don't like to do it. So, and I know I'm not going to do it, but I know I'll do other things, so I double down on the other things.
Do you use like listing the leads when you do your Facebook ad, or how do you capture leads from your Facebook ads?
So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. There's conversion,
Okay.
right? So that's kind of one of those things. Like if you talk about conversion, you know that they are really well married to Facebook ads. So if you decide you're going to go all in on your prospecting with Facebook ads, you need a CRM that's going to complement that. So like CRM, the conversion CRM might be a good fit there. Like for me, I use a lot of, what did I used to do? You can get so hairy with it. So like I used to have an IDX plugin for my WordPress website, and I did it all manually. And then people would sign up, and it was so clumsy. People would sign up through listing ads on Facebook, and when that sign up occurred, it would just send an email to my inbox saying you got a lead. That doesn't help me because I get 400 emails a day, right? So once I determined that that was no longer working, I figured out that I needed a CRM that married really well with Facebook ads, to where if I get a lead, it automatically gets uploaded into, and that's what happens with Follow Up Boss.
Right.
So when I get a lead on Facebook, it automatically gets automated into the CRM, which is Follow Up Boss. And then I have a CRM drip in Follow Up Boss with a follow-up campaign and then task reminders to remind me to call them and everything else.
Yeah.
That's why, like, can you see why it's so important to know what this looks like before you start getting into the tools? You have to know what your business looks like before you start spending money on software. Does that help? It's hard without the visuals, but I'm a visual learner, so I don't know. Maybe that makes sense for you guys.
Thank
Any
you
other
very
cues?
much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hope you guys found value. We have a free Facebook group for agents. There's a lot of people from all over, and it's Boss Agent Community. So if you guys want to jump in there, you can just find it by searching on Facebook. But we share a lot of this stuff, and I just want it to be a place where we can ask questions like these when we're not in class. So if anything comes up and you guys have questions, you can always jump into there too. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
What are you signing in?
Oh yeah, did everybody get a chance to sign in?
Robin, Lugo?
Robin Lugo? No, I don't think so. And my husband's a Lugo. He might. I don't think so. I don't
She's a
think
real
so.
estate agent.
Yeah, I don't believe so. There's a couple of Lugos out there.
Huh.
There's somebody called the Lugo team.
Oh, really?
We're the Lugos, though. Don't get it twisted.